Hi everyone, this is AriannaChante and welcome back to my channel. Today is not a binge queen episode, this is a lifestyle and beauty episode. Today I am going to be showing you how I install my wigs. This wig is a wig from Voley's Virgo Hair on AliExpress. I will put the link in my description box so you can see how to purchase this hair. It's hair that I've bought before. It was really soft and the curl pattern was really nice. I just needed a new one. So this is me getting a new wig. So I'm showing you that this wig has a really good frontal, but you can see a lot of the roots from how they install the hair. So what I'm going to do is bleach the knots and kind of lighten it up so when you put it on, you can't see those little dots on your scalp. So it's just regular bleach you get from your beauty supply store and 20 developer. I don't go stronger than that just because you don't want it to really turn your scalp orange or it could be a disaster from there. So 20 developer is all you really need, and you want to make sure you're blending it enough to get a good consistency. You don't want it runny because it'll run through your frontal and it'll bleach the actual hair. So you want to get a good pasty texture so when you're applying it, it sticks to just the spot you're applying it to and not leaking through. You want to keep mixing it to make sure you're getting the consistency that you're looking for. It takes me a couple tries because I don't want to overdo it too soon, but this looks way better in the perfect texture for what I was looking for. So here you can see the black dots again. We are going to get those out. So I use the back of a spoon because you don't want to push into it. You kind of just want to apply it to those spaces. So I start with the front and just kind of work my way throughout the whole frontal to make sure I'm getting all of the spots that will be showing on my scalp. And please make sure you're taking your time. You don't want to rush this process. You don't want to get bleach on your actual wig because now what are you going to do with the blotchy wig? So make sure you're taking your time and just make sure you're painting it on smoothly. Okay, so once you've gotten all of the spots with bleach on it, I let it sit for 10 minutes. I kind of come back and check back and forth to make sure it's not over bleaching. You can tell by the roots if it's getting on your roots. It'll turn kind of blondish, goldish. So 10 minutes is like my max time. Just make sure you're checking it to make sure it's not doing too much bleaching. But after 10 minutes, you want to come back and wash it out. Okay, so now that we are washing off the bleach, I kind of just let the water run through the bleach so it doesn't get anywhere else besides just straight out of the frontal. Just make sure you're using medium water. You don't want to use hot water. Just make sure you're getting all of the bleach out, and then you're going to wash your hair like usual, but make sure you're actually rubbing into the frontal to make sure you're getting all of the bleach out so there's no longer any active chemicals working on your frontal. It doesn't really matter what type of conditioner and shampoo you're using. Just make sure you're using something that you would actually use on your hair. Whatever I use on my hair, I use on my wigs because you want that hair to stay moisturized and stay as healthy as possible, especially after bleaching. So now that the hair is washed, I let it air dry while I'm putting on my wig cap. I'll kind of blow dry it a little bit just to get the leftover moisture out, but I let it dry with air just so you're not doing more damage, especially after bleaching. You don't need heat and chemicals and all these extra shenanigans. Just let that thing air dry while we do our next step. So this is where the fun begins. Please excuse my hair. This is an old braid down shenanigan that I did by myself. I'm just, doing this for you guys so you can see how I do my hair. So you want to make sure you're using edge control to kind of lay down your edges. You want them slicked down as much as possible. So when you start gluing and all of the other things we're about to do, you don't want the glue to get in your actual hair. You want to make sure that hair is protected. So I use a regular edge control and then I use Got To Be gel on top of it to make sure I'm super protected on my edges because we cannot afford to lose any edges, okay? We're going into 2021. We will not be edgeless. This is the wig cap that I am using. I try and get a color that matches my skin tone so you don't have to do too much work. From any beauty supply store, you can get a wig cap. They're like $1.99. I'm pretty positive it's not anything more expensive than that unless you're getting scammed. So go ahead and put this thing on. Pull it down enough so it's a little bit past your ears. I use the rubbing alcohol first to get the moisture and the grease off of my forehead because we're about to start using things that we want to stick. So make sure you're getting that grease, oil, and whatever residue. If you have lotion on your face, moisturizer, we want to get all of that off with the rubbing alcohol. I'm using this to fan it down because you want it to get dry, but definitely use okay, that's Franklin. Definitely use a blow dryer to kind of get the moisture out because we want to start with a fresh, clean slate. This is a generic glue brand that I got from the beauty supply. It doesn't matter which one you get because they're all really going to do the same thing for this part. So what I do is kind of put the glue around my hairline. You want to put this down pretty lightly. I'm doing it like this because there's not much left in it. And then you're going to use whatever you have. I have this edge brush that kind of has this like spatula on the end, and you want to brush it backwards. So from your hairline, you're brushing it back a little bit into your hair. So that's where your base is going to be for it to start sticking. And please note, this process has been sped up because the video would have been 2 hours long. It takes me about 2 hours from start to finish my wig, but it's worth it if you take your time. It's going to stick and it's going to last you more than a couple days than the little quick Got To Be gel, way. You're going to do that once, and then I'm going to spray the Got To Be freezing spray on top of it and kind of rub it in. This is a technique that I have seen from Hair by Erica J. I'll put her in her YouTube channel down below. It really helps making sure that the wig cap is going to stick to your forehead. So now I cut holes in the ears because you want to make sure that your temples are going to be covered as well because your hairline on the wig is going to come down a little bit further to protect you from pulling out your actual edges. So you want to make sure that you're gluing down those sides as well. So here I just go back in and put some more glue there and make sure it dries to make sure we have that base and the foundation before we start putting on the actual wig. So the blow dryer is really your best friend during this process to speed it up for you. You're going to be blow drying a lot. Suggestion, I would say you can do cool and hot. I use hot because I don't have time, so I kind of alternate between the two of them, but you just want to make sure that it is dry before we actually start cutting the wig cap off. Okay, now it is time to cut the cap off. I kind of put slits in it, so I'm doing it in sections and not just across my forehead at the same time. So you want to make sure that you're cutting all of the excess wig material off, so when you lay it down, you don't have to do as much work. So you're cutting everything that's pretty much like the parts that were not wet. So you're going to cut all of the excess material off that is not glued down to your forehead. You want to get as close as possible for this next step to make sure you're not just wasting time on what you're doing for your process. Once you have all of the material off, you're going to use a tiny bit of glue and lay down the pieces that you just cut to make sure we have a seamless scalp. You do not want any raising or any bubbles in your scalp because this is literally going to be the scalp of your wig. So I go in and put a little bit around the edges, then I blow dry this, and this is the last time that we're going to manipulate our scalp with the glue. Once that is dry, you want to get like a foundation that's powder or cream that's kind of the same color as you or close to the same color as you. I got this from the beauty supply because I'm not going to use it ever, so just something really cheap. And I just kind of lay it around my edges where the wet spots were. They're dry now, but it just has a different consistency on your scalp, just to kind of give my scalp a color that's closer to my skin tone. And this is where we're getting the bald head look. After you finish applying the color, go ahead and use some of the rubbing alcohol to clean up your forehead. You still want to make sure your forehead is as clean from grease and powder and everything else as possible because it needs to be a fresh slate to put that wig on. Now I am using the Hold Me Down from Hair by AriannaChante. It's just a skin guard to protect your skin that when you put the glue on, it's not going to burn you or mess up your skin. So it really helps you get that base and foundation. And of course, our bestie, the hair blow dryer, is back again to make sure that space that we just put moisture on is completely dry. And it's going to feel a little tacky because it is supposed to help us when we put the wig on. So now I put the wig on to kind of see where it's going to be placed. You want the wig to go wherever you want it to lay and not where the actual wig cap is. So you want to make sure you're marking in your head like how far down you want it to go. I use this lace tint spray just to kind of tint the lace a little bit for it to be more my skin tone. Okay, now the fun part begins. I am using Hair by AriannaChante again, of course, her Hold Me Down adhesive. It is a really good glue that I have tried out before, and it really makes sure that your wigs are lasting and it's not just a couple days and you're sweating and the wig is going to come off. So for this process, you want to put a hardy layer down to make sure that we're getting a good base for gripping for our glue, because we're actually this is going to be our layer for the glue to stick. So this process, I do it 3 times, but you're only going to see me do it once. So I put the glue down on my scalp where that wig cap is. I make sure I'm putting a thin layer each time for 3 times after I've dried it. You dry it and you put on your next layer again. So put the adhesive on your scalp, smooth it out, dry it, do it 3 times to make sure it's really tacky and it's going to actually grip and stick to the frontal. Once the glue has completely dried, it's going to look clear and kind of shiny. That's when I put my wig on. So I pull it over my head as far down as I need it to go. And then I start using a comb or the edge of a brush and kind of comb through to make the frontal stick to where I just put the glue down. So you want to make sure you're combing every single part where there is glue from ear to ear. Comb it down, make sure it's actually sticking before we start moving things around. And I do this a few times to make sure I haven't missed a spot. You don't want this process to mess up because we've gone so far. So make sure you're actually getting in there and making sure the frontal is sticking to the glue that you just laid down. So now, please be careful because once you mess up a cut, you cannot go backwards. So I kind of pull my hair back to make sure all the hair is out of my face. And I have this like eyebrow razor shaver that I use because you don't want your hairline to be a straight cut. You kind of want it to be rigged a little bit so it blends into your scalp better. So I do sections. I start with the front and kind of just start cutting slowly as close to the hairline as possible because you don't want a lot of extra lace on your forehead because it'll be way too noticeable. So just take your time and go through the front first and then do your edges and just cut off the extra lace that you will not need. And it's okay to touch it up with scissors if need be, but you don't want scissors to be your main use for cutting this lace off of your frontal. So now that we've cut the excess lace off, you want to kind of pull your head back a little bit and see where it has not been glued down. Because remember, we're putting the wig down where we want it to lay, not the front of the wig. So now you'll see what spaces need to be glued down, and you just want to go in with your little end of your edge brush or whatever you're using to apply your glue. You want to go in and put a thin layer of glue on and make sure you're letting it dry and lay down those pieces that have not been laid down yet. And I use a comb to kind of just lay the frontal on my scalp. You don't want to be rough. Just lay those pieces down and let it melt into the glue. Okay, so now that we have the wig on and secure, I'm going to use this melting spray that I have purchased from the wig dealer. She is on Instagram. I will put her information below. I like this spray because it's not too harsh, it's not too thick. It kind of just makes sure that you're melting in the finished product, because we've already done all of the glue. We just need a little spray to make sure it's going to melt into your skin. So after I do that, I just put on my scarf, and I keep my scarf on for about 30 minutes. I just do whatever I need to do around the house while that's drying, but you want to make sure your scarf is on pretty tightly so it has that pressure to melt into your skin. Now, I won't lie, I think the lace looks so much better the next day. So this is just what it looks like after like an hour of me just chilling in the house. I forgot it was supposed to be 30 minutes, but it was an hour. I go back in with the rubbing alcohol just to clean up my hairline. You don't want a lot of excess product because it's going to get in the way when you need to do your baby hairs and things like that. So now that we have the wig on, I want to show you guys that it's really not going to go anywhere. I'm literally pulling on it from the root, just pulling on it, and you can see that my skin is moving as well. So this wig is on, it's secure, it's not going to go anywhere. And you can see the scalp. The scalp looks real. It's the same color as my skin tone. It doesn't look like I have to put makeup on top. I feel like it's just an extra step that's just not necessary if you do your scalp correctly. So I actually styled my hair off camera because it would have taken too long, but this is what the final look looks like. It is super flat, it is curly, moisturized, you cannot see where the lace is, and there are baby hairs. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, and let me know if you have any tips, tricks, or questions about how I laid down my hair and my wig cap. Talk to you guys soon.